Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, the race to the White House inches in, how both parties are preparing ahead of Election Day.
Then, how weather is affecting people's plans to get to the polls.
And the school board is meeting to discuss a new superintendent. We'll bring you more on their future plans. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
It's election eve and all eyes are on the 2024 presidential race. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Natasha Holt.
And I'm Alex Land. The record-breaking numbers of early voting is evidence of just how important this election is and who's best to lead it. Let's take a look at both candidates' final push ahead of Election Day. Classes on the campus of Howard University have shifted to remote class this week as Vice President Harris is set to spend election night with her supporters. She's a graduate of the historically black university. The Vice President is spending these last hours campaigning in battleground Pennsylvania.
It's about just strengthening our country and reminding each other we are all in this together.
Crews are working on last-minute touches here on campus, and security is as tight as can be as thousands of supporters are expected to be here to watch election results.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to address supporters tomorrow night after election results start coming in from the Palm Beach Convention Center. The former president will close out nearly 9 years of running for or occupying the White House. Supporters say they're expecting a close race and a Trump victory. He's campaigning today across 3 key battleground states, including Pennsylvania, where Harris is also set to speak tonight. The former president has said he'll accept the results of a fair election.
It's ours to lose. If we get everybody out and vote, there's not a thing they can do.
Former President Trump is expected to vote in person tomorrow before watching returns with family and friends at Mar-a-Lago, then addressing supporters at the convention center.
There's Election Day rain forecast across several states, 2 of those key swing states. This all comes after a weekend of destructive tornadoes in Oklahoma left around a dozen people injured. As Laura Aguirre reports, officials are working to be sure voters can still get to the polls.
I looked outside and within like 5 seconds, all hell broke loose.
Shane Barker and his dog are among many tornado survivors in Oklahoma City. The National Weather Service says at least 5 twisters, 2 of those powerful EF3 strength, tore through parts of the state overnight Saturday into Sunday. Many residents only had seconds to scramble to safety in the dark, awakened by warnings sent to their cell phones.
I could only see when there was flashes of lightning, like as we were going, but it was just random things like moving.
One of those things was a neighbor's boat, which landed in Katie Anderson's backyard. By the light of day, the full scope of the devastation came into focus. Several homes and businesses flattened or heavily damaged.
It was war zone. The whole roof was just rolled into a burrito, basically.
At least one school lost a good portion of its roof. The state's governor announcing Sunday there's an emergency declaration for 6 counties, and officials are working to ensure all polling places have power ahead of Tuesday's presidential election. There was no relief for the region Monday, with thunderstorm, tornado, wind, and large hail threats persisting from southern Texas up into western Illinois. And through Election Day, the Storm Prediction Center is tracking rainfall between 1 and 3 inches across the central and midwestern U.S., including Wisconsin and Michigan, 2 closely watched swing states. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
It's been pretty dry over north central Florida for the past couple weeks, but today has been more cloudy, and we had a few light showers move through our area earlier this afternoon. WUFT forecaster Matt Clark joins us now. Matt, will we have rain tomorrow that could affect voting?
Yeah, there's about a 10% chance that we could see rain tomorrow, with those chances being around 4 p.m. and in the afternoon. So if you are going to go out there and vote tomorrow, your best chance would be around 8 a.m. with those sunny skies, and it's going to start to get partly cloudy and some partly sunny skies as well around noon, 85 degrees right there. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we do have some rain crossing through Stark, a couple showers right now moving through Micanopy, but for the most part, we've seen some clouds and some rain. Those temperatures are going to subside into the upper 60s as we head into tonight, with those rain chances also going to drop and subside as well. Right now, we do have Tropical Storm Rafael in the Western Caribbean. Track expected to move west of us, thankfully, seeing some storm could see a potential rainfall from this storm as it heads off to the west into Louisiana. Nothing much over here for now, though.
Nearly 60% of all registered voters in Florida have already cast their ballots ahead of tomorrow's election day. As of this morning, almost 8.2 million Floridians had cast ballots by mail or at early voting sites. Registered Republicans had outvoted registered Democrats by almost 850,000 people. There are roughly 14 million registered voters in Florida, but registration is down 0.4 million since 2020. Governor Ron DeSantis spent Monday telling voters to reject Amendments 3 and 4.
This is not something you're going to be able to change if it gets enacted. My view on all these amendments is, unless I'm 100% sure this is going to be a good thing, I'm voting no. That's just the reality.
Meanwhile, Florida Democratic Party Chairwoman Nikki Fried is hoping both amendments pass. She also hopes to pick up seats in Congress and the legislature.
Democrats are out there voting, independents are breaking for us, and Republicans, I wouldn't be so sure that all those ballots that have even been turned in at this point are all for them.
Vote by mail ballots will be accepted until polls close on Tuesday. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Election Day.
As Election Day approaches, voters nationwide are gearing up to make their voices heard, and local officials are working around the clock to ensure a smooth voting process. Early voting has already shown steady participation, with officials closely tracking turnout numbers compared to previous years. At the center of these efforts is the Supervisor of Elections, who manages all the logistics of county-wide voting. Wesley Wilcox, Marion County Supervisor of Elections, shares voter turnout has been steady thus far.
But all in all, almost 150,000 people have voted here in Marion County. If you add the two methods together, which is over 55% of those eligible.
Marion County anticipates to have around 80% voter participation by the end of Election Day. This would mark a record high percentage for the county, exceeding previous election cycles. As the pivotal day nears, the Supervisor of Elections emphasizes the importance of voter participation and the commitment to a smooth electoral process.
When you see a huge chunk of text on your ballot, it can be easy to get confused. Here's a guide to Florida's 6 amendments. Amendment 1 would make district school board elections partisan, meaning those running for office would have to identify with a political party. Amendment 2 ensures the right to hunt and fish. This right is already guaranteed in the state constitution. However, supporters think the amendment is necessary to avoid the right being taken away in the future. Amendment 3 legalizes the use of marijuana. Adults over 21 could recreationally use marijuana without a medical certificate.
Amendment 4 would limit government interference with abortion. If approved, the amendment would expand abortion beyond the first 6 weeks of pregnancy. Amendment 5 would require homestead exemptions to adjust for inflation. This amendment would relieve homeowners of property taxes, but reduce revenue for local governments. Amendment 6 would repeal public campaign financing. Candidates would not be allowed to use public funds for their campaigns. Rideshare companies are removing barriers for those who need transportation to the polls tomorrow. Lyft and Uber are providing discounts on November 5th for voters heading to the polling locations. For Lyft rides, use the code VOTE24 to get 50% off your ride. This code is valid from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. local time. Uber also is offering a 50% discount available all day when users select the Go Vote tile in the Uber app. Both discounts cover up to $10 off rides. Lyft cites studies showing that people without cars are far less likely to vote.
WUFT and WRUF have you covered on election night. Tune into Cox Channels 3 and 6 for live team coverage of local city and county races, state amendments, and the race for the White House. Our coverage begins when the polls close on November 5th at 7 p.m. And if you can't get to a TV, you can listen in at FM 89.1 and 90.1, in addition to WUFT.org.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The Alachua County Public School Board is hosting a special meeting tonight to consider hiring an interim superintendent.
WUFT reporter Chrystie Blot has the details.
The current superintendent, Shane Andrews, last day is November 15th, so the search is on for a replacement. Andrews' contract was terminated in October after, quote, unsatisfactory and needs work evaluations from 3 of the 5 board members. Now, the board is meeting tonight to find an interim superintendent during the search process. For someone to fill the role permanently, board members will introduce names that might be a good fit during the search process.
But ultimately, the goal is to get a permanent superintendent into this district sometime in the next, hopefully 6 to 8 months, and really start the next school year with a permanent superintendent in place.
And emphasize the importance of finding the temporary quality candidate for the meantime. Live from Gainesville, Chrystie Blot, WUFT News.
The leading food nonprofit in Florida, FarmShare, is coming to Gainesville. FarmShare distributes food to food insecure Floridians. You can receive fresh produce and non-perishable canned goods at the event. It'll take place on Wednesday, November 6th, starting at 9 a.m. and will go until supplies last. The distribution is drive-through only and will be located at 405 East Highway in Inglis. FarmShare also distributes food through its network of food pantries. To find a food pantry near you, visit farmshare.org/food-pantries.
Rafael is now a tropical storm in the Western Caribbean. I will have what Rafael is going to do and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Hey, happy Monday. So we did have Tropical Storm Patty in the North Atlantic. So this is the reason I'm showing you the storm names right now is because we've been talking about Patty in the Western Caribbean. Well, now it's Rafael in the Western Caribbean right now as a tropical storm with winds up to about 45 miles per hour, central pressure about 997 millibars, and it's moving north around 9 miles per hour. But before it heads to western Cuba, it's expected to strengthen into a Category 2 hurricane around Wednesday night. But you see that track staying off the west coast of Florida. That's great news for us. We could see some rainfall, but however, those tropical storm force winds are going to stay offshore before it weakens into a tropical storm around Saturday night. Cooler temperatures and higher wind shear in the Gulf of Mexico is what's going to cause this storm to weaken. Pretty disorganized right now in the Western Caribbean, kind of a center down here just south of Kingston and Cuba right now. And so just showing you a model. This is the GFS American model. Starts off down in the Western Caribbean. Again, it gets organized south of the Western Cuba right now, and as it heads its way into the Gulf of Mexico, we do have it staying offshore, eventually heading northwest towards Louisiana, kind of dissipating and weakening upon landfall before eventually moving off into the northeast U.S. We could have some rainfall from this storm though. Around 1 inch of rain is projected, but the further northwest you go, around 3 inches in Tallahassee, 1.5 around Cross City and Lake City as well. But for the most part, we're not going to be seeing some strong storms, but we could see some rain showers from this storm. Campus cam right now, see some of those overhead clouds, 77 degrees, east around 8 miles per hour winds right now. Pretty gusty winds out there overlooking West Campus cam. Some more overhead clouds. We did have a couple showers earlier. Do have some moving through Stark right now heading towards Lake City, but for the most part these showers are just really quick moving. Nothing to worry about right now. 78 degrees in Gainesville, 75 in Stark, and 79 up in Jacksonville. Temperatures pretty much in the upper 70s. Those temperatures are going to start to decrease into the upper 60s as we head into tonight. Those clouds are going to remain pretty constant. It's going to be kind of a cloudy and muggy night. Now tomorrow when you're waking up, it is election day. If you are going to go out there and vote, your best time to not get wet would be in the early mornings into early parts of afternoon. 10% chance of showers with temperatures around 83 degrees. Futurecast for tomorrow, you see some of those clouds starting to move its way from the southeast, starting to cover its way over in Gainesville. A couple of those spotty showers could be possible around Tuesday afternoon, around 4. As it heads to the northeast, to the northwest, could see some of those showers. So if you're going to go out there and vote, best to do it in the morning as well, just to stay wet, to avoid getting wet. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be a beautiful weekend though. See that dog in the background? Seems like a good boy. Temperature is going to be in the 80s. Pretty partly cloudy skies and partly sunny skies for the most part. And as we head into the rest of the week, see it is election day out there. Wednesday and Thursday, we can get some rain from Rafael, and Veterans Day is next Monday as well.
Well, there has been a very anticipated injury report given by head coach Billy Napier from earlier today. Is the Florida football team doomed? Stay tuned after the break to find out.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Talia Baia. On Saturday, the Gators football team suffered yet another injury to a quarterback. DJ Lagway was seen carted off the field due to a hamstring injury. However, head coach Billy Napier has not ruled him out completely.
So less significant than we anticipated. and he's been doing well so far this morning. So we have not completely ruled him out, and I think a lot of that will be to be determined as we move our way throughout the week.
The Gators, and hopefully Lagway included, will take on the number 5 Texas Longhorns on Saturday in Austin. And if you missed Saturday's game, here's WFT's Ethan Eibe with the story on the matchup against Georgia.
What if DJ Lagway never got hurt? That's the question Gator fans will ask themselves time and time again as they reminisce on the 103rd Florida-Georgia matchup. It was a game right there for the taking. The Gators, with all the momentum heading toward halftime, all of a sudden came to a crashing halt when freshman quarterback DJ Lagway went down with a non-contact injury midway through the second quarter. Lagway was carted off the field with the entire team surrounding him and later returned on crutches. With third-string QB Aiden Warner now in, with the game tied at 13 in quarter 3, a mistake on special teams before a field goal attempt snuffed out any offensive momentum the Gators had left. Despite engineering one more touchdown drive in the fourth quarter, Florida's mistakes proved too costly. Georgia scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes to put the game on ice. With his Gators now at 4-4 and facing a tough schedule ahead, Billy Napier provided a minimal update on Lagway in his postgame press conference.
I think that it's soft tissue, so those things sometimes are subjective, so we'll get an MRI tomorrow, and we'll have a little bit better idea. We'll give you a report on Wednesday.
It remains to be seen whether or not DJ Lagway can continue his electric rookie season. In the meantime, Gator Nation will turn its attention to Aiden Warner as the Gators prepare to face the Texas Longhorns on the road next weekend. Reporting from Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Ethan Eibe, WUFT Sports.
In other Gator news, women's basketball kicks off tonight at 7 p.m. WFT's Issa Rivera is at the O'Connell Center right now with more info.
What better way to begin the new Gator women's basketball season than with a matchup at home tonight? Florida will welcome FAU for the opening night of the 2024-2025 season. The Gators campaign includes 7 returning and 5 additions to the roster. Freshmen Liv McGill and Miara O'Neal are predicted to be a part of the starting 5 tonight, along with sophomore Layla Reynolds and seniors Jeriah Warren and Rashia Kyle. The Gators have won 7 out of 8 matchups against the Owls, currently holding a 4-game winning streak. The Gators did have a matchup last week, an exhibition game last week, destroying Flagler College 85-46. But tonight is the official start to the season against FAU at 7 right here at Exotech Arena. Live in Gainesville, I'm Issa Rivera, WTFT Sports.
Thanks, Issa. Shifting to men's basketball, the 21st ranked Florida Gators tip off their season tonight at 8:30 p.m. against USF in Jacksonville. The Bulls are dealing with the emotional challenge of starting the season without head coach Amir Abdur-Rahim, who passed away unexpectedly last month. Interim coach Ben Fletcher, however, will step in to lead the team. As for the Gators, Todd Golden's squad brings back key talent, including Will Pritchard and senior guard Walter Clayton Jr., who was last season's scoring leader. And in some fresh news, Florida fans will see 3 new faces making their debuts tonight. 5th-year guard Elijah Martin and sophomore center Ruben Abchunchun Yellow, who are both in the starting unit. Now over in volleyball, the Florida teams just keep rolling. The 24th ranked Gators clinched their 5th straight win, taking down Ole Miss 3-1 at the O-Dome. Florida is now 16-5 on the season and 7-3 in SEC play. Sophomore superstar Kennedy Martin was on fire, smashing 22 kills for her 42nd straight double-digit match kill. Isabel Martin wasn't far behind, adding 11 kills, and Alec Roth both dominated the net and led the team in blocks. Meanwhile, freshman setter Taylor Parks dished out 84 assists and racked up double-double with 10 digs. On defense, Ellie McKissock was digging a machine with 20 digs and 3 aces, keeping the energy high. Lastly, in the NFL, Baker Mayfield faces a huge test tonight. The Bucs quarterback leads the league in touchdowns but is heading into a crucial Monday night showdown against the undefeated Chiefs. And he will be without wide receiver Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. What do you guys think? Do you think the Bucs have it in them to take down Patrick Mahomes?
Oh man, you're the Bucs fan here.
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic, but let's take one last look on the weather, why don't we? Since Election Day is tomorrow, about a 10% chance of rain tomorrow. Wednesday and Thursday, those chances are elevated because Rafael will be off the west coast of Florida. However, next Monday is Veterans Day as well, so some people will be off of work.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.